association with Texaco.
Schumacher then charges to the line. This man really looking like he is in a league of his own this afternoon.
Michael Schumacher, absolutely brilliant in qualifying. Victory in the race guarantees World Championship number 4. David Coulthard's alongside the German on the front row, but his title hopes are hanging by a slender thread. Schumacher's huge fan club are here in their thousands, primed to paint Budapest red if their hero delivers at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to the Hungaroring. This could just be D-Day in F1 2001. Michael Schumacher on the verge of retaining his crown. It's going to be very hot work for him, though. 30 degrees the air temperature, 40 and rising on the track. Absolutely delighted to welcome alongside Tony Jardine, Eddie Jordan. You're to blame. You put this bloke into Formula One. What was it, 10 years ago?
I wish I still had him, and that's no reflection on the two drivers I've got, but Michael has been the sensation really for the last decade. I don't think any driver has dominated the world of motorsport, particularly Formula One, like what he's done in that period. And you know, we could be on a historic moment here today. He's come back very relaxed, hasn't he, Tony, from his 3-week holiday. Is this the day for him, do you think?
Well, he's perfectly placed. He said the car's 100%. He's looking good. We've got to remember what the Ferrari president said. 2 big crashes, one in Monza, one at Hockenheim, 2 Ferrari failures, 2 car failures there. It's not over yet.
Well, as things stand, Michael Schumacher is 37 points clear of David Coulthard, though encouraging for Coulthard. He's gone quickest in morning warm-up. His second place, though, being challenged by Hockenheim winner Ralf Schumacher and Barrichello. Hakkinen, he's won in Hungary for the last couple of years, and Montoya chasing that elusive first win. So, a win guarantees Schumacher the championship. If he finishes 3 points ahead of Coulthard, that's good enough as well. Mathematically, the younger Schumacher and Barrichello both have a chance, but not in the real world. Could be a double celebration for Ferrari. If they score 7 more points than McLaren, Ferrari are Constructors' champions once again. Behind Williams, we'll have a look at that scrap involving Sauber, British American Racing and Jordan for that 4th place. Alan, Eddie, you've been at the centre of a bit of an upheaval. You've sacked Heinz-Harald Frentzen. You've got Jean Alesi in your team. Before we talk, let's get the latest from Louise Goodman.
Jean Alesi has had a lot to get to grips with this weekend, and it hasn't been plain sailing all the way. Even finding the right garage proved tricky on Friday. Jean was halfway to Prost before he realised his mistake. Things were starting to come together by the end of qualifying, but Alesi was still over a second adrift of his teammate.
The problem was my adaptation. It took too much time to be able to drive the car as the car go, because if you look, Trulli is 5th. It's a fantastic performance for our team, and they give me the target of the car, and I have to push to be at least at this level.
Really, we've got the experience with the car, and Jean's the new boy. Maybe in a couple of races' time after he's done that and a couple of tests in between, he'll be able to add more to the package, if you like. But at the moment, obviously, we're taking the leading role because we've got all the knowledge and the experience, and we've also got Jarno's car to relate to. Jean's strength has always been in his career that I'm aware of. That he is a racer. You know, that's what it's about. When when he puts the helmet on Sunday, that's when everybody stands up and be counted.
Heinz-Harald Frentzen has a point to prove this weekend. He slipped pretty seamlessly into his new seat at Prost and impressed the team with his performance so far.
I have to say I tried very hard today. I mean, to get the best balance out of the car. It was not so easy, not having any test session before, test practice before. So what I have here, what I received here, I try to do the best, and that's the maximum outcome.
It's been a very steep learning curve for him. He's never used Michelin tyres before. They work very differently to Bridgestones. So our car is also very different to the Jordan, and he had an awful lot of work to do to just learn about the car and try and get things sorted out for flight. Heinz-Harald is very calm, very, very good and methodical technically, and you know, I think Jean's races with his heart basically. It was sad for him to leave the team, but I think Heinz-Harald has more than filled his boots, and hopefully if things go well we'll be beating Jean on the track.
It was a heck of a decision of yours to get rid of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. It's not obvious always in this business that people are genuinely shocked. I think they were by that move.
I mean, I really think enough has possibly been said about this issue, and rather than dragging up things, obviously you want to think about today and today's results and Jean and Jarno in the team, but Heinz, and it must be remembered that he brought the best results to Jordan so far. So it was an enormously difficult decision, a decision that I wouldn't want to make too often. But I have to think about the long-term future of the team and where the team was going and the difference of opinions that we had. And I am committed to winning a championship, and I need to do that quickly. I don't really want to hang around here for life, and Formula One is a cruel business, can be cruel, but it can be very enjoyable at the same time. And I think I don't want to say too much. I would like to wish Heinz-Harald a good race today. I hope we beat him, and he hopes he beats us.
Have the two of you had a chat here at all?
Don't think we've quite got around to having a chat yet, but I don't know why you say that. Thanks a lot.
The solicitors, it's all right.
Yeah. Now, well, John O'Lacey, you'd have been talking to him, but I'm just wondering, how long is this arrangement with John O'Lacey? He's saying it's for next season as well, as far as you're concerned. How long will Jean be wearing the yellow?
The real facts are, and such like that, he will drive for the remainder of this season. He is what we need at the moment. We needed a very experienced hand to help us through a difficult period. Some people call it turmoil. I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but nevertheless it was a situation where we needed an experienced hand and somebody that we knew. And I don't think I know anyone better than Jean. He lived with us, he's part of our family, he's almost like a son. You know, it's hard to describe that there is a connection. But it wasn't done for that. It was done because I think he can drag the results out of the car. But
you want John O'Lacey to deliver immediately, don't you, Eddie?
I think it'll be particularly difficult either for Heinz or for Jean to deliver here, and that's always the penalty you pay. Because of the gap, there was a 3-week gap which is enforced no testing or qualifying, which made it even more difficult because the drivers have been pitched in with actually no knowledge of the cars whatsoever. That's a pretty daunting prospect for any driver, no matter how talented, however professional they are, and they all are very professional. It is a big task to do.
Now, Jarno Trulli has come back full of running from his holiday, but he's a bit of a wanted commodity, isn't? And there's a strong story linking him with a drive at McLaren now.
Time will tell. People might say maybe I'll get my comeuppance in another way, who knows. Listen, I think that's all in the future. Nevertheless, Jarno, what he is doing in the team, and he is relishing this position now. He's the #1 driver in Jordan. You can see, I believe, he's upped his game already this weekend. He is a very rare talent, and he's very focused, he's young, he's committed, and he's fast. It's about all you need.
You would want to keep him, though?
Of course. And I think if you ask him the same thing, there are 1 or 2 little niggly little things that need to be sorted out, and other than that, everything is agreed. So, all being well, we'll talk about it in the future, maybe next race.
Yeah, I mean, you know this world backwards. Are people waiting for a certain extent on the former world champion Mika Häkkinen to see what he's going to be doing?
I'm not sure Mika Häkkinen has a part to play in this, although there's all sorts of rumours about other teams and things. But I mean, Formula One lives on rumours. I don't need to tell you that. But and Jordan is its own provider of those rumours from time to time in itself. But quite leaving that aside, Jarno Trulli and Jordan I think the method and the mode and the happiness about the way the team is structured, I think it makes sense for both of us to do and get on with next year.
But a super qualifying performance from Jarno Trulli, getting past Mika Häkkinen, what was 61 minutes on the clock, wasn't it?
Well, that's what he has just recently acquired, is that he has become that little bit more hungry. He has gained in confidence, and I think this, at this stage, is becoming a little bit of a psychological barrier as well. He now believes he can take on these guys, and Mika Häkkinen, twice world champion, the up-and-coming star, you know, Jarno, he's full of it. He just really wants to get in there, and I think we can see a lively race from him today too, because he will not give in. We saw what happened with Coulthard at Silverstone. Everyone has their own opinion as to who made the right mistake or the wrong mistake, but in this particular case I think a message was delivered, and that is Jarno Trulli is not going to be an easy pushover. He's there to win races in the future.
Mentioning David Coulthard there, I mean, Heinz-Harald Frentzen did him no favours in qualifying yesterday, didn't he? I mean, a bit of brain fade there from Heinz-Harald?
Well, I think he was pretty dozy, to be honest, but here we are. It's the first flying lap for David Coulthard. He really needs to go well, and he comes round the corner and finds Heinz-Harald Frentzen just come out the pits, and occasionally Heinz-Harald Frentzen can fall asleep. He was getting messages, by the way, from his pit that a car was coming up behind him, didn't look in his mirrors, totally unaware, ruined the lap. By the way, Jean Alesi there 2 years ago in the Sauber got put off by an Arrows, and Jean ended up into hospital, being blocked in just the same situation.
Michael Schumacher really hooking up the Ferrari, 3.5 seconds quicker than last year's pole, and he did 6 laps, didn't he?
Well, it's humbling the opposition, and unfortunately for the opposition, I include Eddie in this, they are still developing the 2001 car. They made that decision about 3 weeks ago, as well as looking ahead to the 2002 Ferrari. It's such a well-balanced car. This guy, as you said, come back refreshed from the break. He was wanting to get back, not allowed to do any testing, just going quicker and quicker the whole time. And they've got more engine power this time, they've got a revised aero package, it goes on.
In contrast to that, though, Montoya and Häkkinen are really fighting with their cars.
Tail end Charlie's, the rear end of the car was getting away from both of them. Montoya said I'd turn in and it just wouldn't go anymore, and he said whatever I tried, it was going away from Häkkinen. Guy has won here twice, real expert around here, could not cure that back end jumping out. You saw him going over the curbs there, into the dust. They've even been changing springs this morning in an effort to make that McLaren handle. OK, Tony, race 13 in the season, just take us through the grid, could you? Well, it's the 41st pole for Michael Schumacher. He can't believe the gap, 0.8 of a second. Coulthard did well in a new chassis, said it wasn't much different. Get on the front row there, he's got a slight chance. Barrichello was blocked by Montoya. Ralf Schumacher very happy with his car, and truly great getting ahead of the McLaren there, pipping Häkkinen down in 6th position. Heidfeld good again, the German doing a great job. Montoya struggling with the handling of that BMW Williams. Raikkonen again very good indeed. Villeneuve used Panis's setup in part to get ahead of his French teammate. Jean Alesi, last gasp effort, but very relieved to take that 12th place on the grid. Della Rosa dead chuffed to be ahead of Irvine. Irvine admitted I overdrove totally sideways through the last chicane, paid the penalty. Fisichella no grip. Frentzen settling in. Button 2 engine changes, has to take Fisichella's spare car, and it's the old engine. Alonso was brilliant, drove his socks off to take 18th. Bertie, the Brazilian, alongside Bernaldi, hoping Bertie doesn't jump over him at this race. Verstappen way back, very upset Marquez had a problem with the engine sensor.
Eddie, I know you've got to go and take charge of your team. Before you go, talk about the 3-week break. I mean, you were one of the big fans of it, weren't you? Has it worked for Formula One?
Sadly, it rebounded on me because I got very little. It was something to do with driver negotiations or whatever, so somebody had their just reward. But I think what happens is that we are away from home for so long, and the travelling is becoming so difficult, and all of the other things that are peripheral to which people don't necessarily see, and coupled to that to an exhaustive testing program. I think the people and the mechanics, the engineers, the drivers, the designers, everybody just absolutely flaked out. So this was a window of opportunity where we put 2 races together, i.e. France and Britain, and then have a 3-week gap so most people can actually see their families or reunite themselves with friends or loved ones or whatever it is over this 2-3 week gap. I think it's been a massive success. I hope it continues. I hope we've demonstrated to the powers that be that no one has lost out, and let's continue.
Just finally, you surprised us all with Jean Alesi. People say, we know Eddie would have 1 or 2 more cards up his sleeve to play before the season's out. Is that right?
I think I've done my card playing for once. Will you leave me alone, please?
Eddie Maverick.
Dear, oh dear.
Eddie, have a good race today. We appreciate you coming across to join
Thanks,
us.
sir. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Eddie. Right then, well, Michael Schumacher has returned to the fray. Very fresh indeed, describing his qualifying lap as perfection.
Schumacher then charges to the line. It is a 14 flat. This man really looking like he is in a league of his own this afternoon, Michael Schumacher.
While I was finishing my lap, I was thinking, well, it is a long time ago I was able to say that was a 100% perfect lap, and that one is one of the few I have done.
Today is Michael Schumacher's date with destiny. Win here this afternoon, and not only does he clinch his 4th world title, but he equals Alain Prost's record of 51 wins. The margin in qualifying yesterday was astonishing, 0.8 of a second, and although it's sure to be closer in the race today, it shows how confident he is that this is his weekend.
I feel good, but I feel not over-optimistic, because I know sometimes qualifying race can be a different story, and yeah, to be world champion is the same sentence as to be first. You have first to win, first to finish, and to win on top. So we'll find out. It will be a tough race. It will be a hard race, but we have it in our hands.
It's all a far cry from the nail-biting finales at Suzuka, which we've seen in recent years. The lack of pressure is clear.
It's the first time in my career I'm able to secure a championship so early in the year. But nevertheless, I want to win the race, and to win a race, it is equal to other races where we have seen huge battles, and so we will have the same tension as we have in other races.
But how do his rivals feel? David Coulthard has had his best season so far, but you can tell how deflated he and McLaren are that they've let Schumacher get to the point where he can wrap it up 4 races from the end.
As a team, of course, of which I'm part of, we're a bit disappointed with some of the reliability issues, and we know we were on the back foot a little bit with how late we started, and the way we developed the car early on, we didn't find the pace that Ferrari have had in qualifying. So the season's as a result of that.
You can be obsessed with winning, which is, I'm afraid, one of my characteristics, but that doesn't mean to say it's to the detriment of being sporting about it, you know. And if he does it, I reluctantly congratulate him.
He woke up this morning a 3-time world champion. He could be waking up tomorrow to find he's become a legend.
Ron Dennis will congratulate him through clenched teeth, but Michael Schumacher so laid back all weekend.
He is, but he's admitted to some of the Italian press he is feeling the pressure from the German fans, Italian expectations. He said, "You can't blame me, I am feeling very tense within. I'm trying to remain calm out. They do want to wrap it up here."
It's really sad how McLaren's challenger seems to have dropped away this season. David Coulthard, 9 points from a possible 60. Since his victory in Austria, he's lost that early season consistency. His McLaren went out very early at Silverstone, another blank at Hockenheim. Meantime, Häkkinen's career really hanging in the balance, and his Silverstone win a rare highlight in a low-key season for the Finn. When you rejoin us in Hungary, we're going to hear from the most successful Grand Prix driver of all time. A win for Michael Schumacher, and he equals Alain Prost's record. The Frenchman's mind, though, is on keeping his struggling team afloat. Just over half an hour to go to the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. They're priming themselves for a massive party in these parts, roughly coinciding with the 1000th birthday of the state of Hungary. Beverly Turner's been down by the Danube, having a look around Budapest.
Budapest, the self-styled Queen of the Danube. It's one of the world's most fascinating capital cities, catering for every taste, from high culture to marathon vodka sessions. But to appreciate the vibrant diversity of today's Budapest, we should first take a quick look at its past. Originally, Budapest was split into 2 cities, Buda and Pest. funnily enough. And behind me down there is Pest, the commercial centre on the east bank of the Danube. And up here is Buda, where the views are fantastic. See what I mean? Amazing. The stunning panorama from high up here on Galette Hill. It's a popular spot for tourists and one of the most important locations in Budapest, because looking out onto the entire city is the Citadel, and symbolising freedom, Hungary's very own version of the Statue of Liberty. That's just one of many monuments throughout Budapest that testify to the city's turbulent and tempestuous history. Heroes Square was built to mark the creation of the Hungarian state. And as a legacy to almost 150 years of Turkish occupation, there are many medicinal spas or thermal baths where the locals come to relax and recuperate. But more and more these days, Budapest is fast gaining a reputation as a city which really comes into its own at night. This is Liszt Square, the cafe mecca, where the young and trendy of Budapest come to soak up the atmosphere and have a great time, and never more so than on the eve of race weekend.
It's a city which I would say is growing. It's turning western, and the good thing with Budapest is the people.
And on a sweltering summer evening, the locals will tell you the best way to see the city at a more leisurely pace is by one of the most traditional forms of transport. So here we are on a moonlight cruise down the Danube. You can't come to Budapest and not do this. From what I've seen, it really is a fantastic city, by day or by night.
Well, no fireworks, but the highest honour Hungary can bestow for Bernie Eccleston, the Freedom of Budapest last year. This time the mid-cross honour of the Hungarian Republic to the Formula One Supremo, acknowledging the importance of the Grand Prix to the country. Precious few accolades for the Prost team this season. John O'Lacey gone. Heinz Harald Frentzen there, recruited to add to the meagre tally of 4 points. A harrowing time for Alain Prost. He's with Murray Walker.
If you look at it from the outside, the split between you and Jean O'Lacey is very sad. I mean, your fellow countrymen, you know each other, you're friends. Was it not avoidable?
I think so, yes. But I still did not understand why we reached this situation. I know him so well, and I know the situation of the team. I knew that it was possible to have Heinz Harald, and I did not want to make another compromise even for the friendship.
Well, you've got one big consolation. If he throws any more helmets into the crowd, it will be Eddie Jordan's radio equipment that goes with them.
It costs less money.
Not yours. Yes. Now, what about Heinz Harald Frentzen? Did you immediately get onto the telephone to him, or was there a delay?
No, I mean, yes. Normally, I don't like too much to say what happened and how that happened, but it is obvious that during the weekend in Hockenheim, I just took my phone and called his manager and said, what is the situation with Heinz Harald? Is he going to be? Is he free? And would he be interested just in case we have any problem? You know. And to be honest, I thought at one stage that Jean wanted to retire, not going to Eddie.
Yeah. All right.
No, I thought my first feeling, my first impression was, but I understood later on that maybe said that to me just to,
soften
make
the
me
blow.
think.
Yes. What about the future of the team?
The split with Jean was one thing, but the way some people have used the situation of the team and saying wrong information which is really close to to be a court case.
Actionable. Oh.
Yeah, because you know, saying that we did not pay the engine or we have not paid Jean for 6 months or something like this, it's absolutely not true. And we are working on a new project. I hope very soon. I don't know when, but for sure it's a question of weeks. I can have some good news for everybody. I hope so, and for me and for the team.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good news. Now, on a personal level, you can look back on a driving career which made you one of the greatest drivers of all time, and you have still, as I talked to you at Hungary, got the record for the most Grand Prix wins. But it looks as though you won't have much longer. Are you sad about that?
I'm not happy. I'm not happy, but you know, I just saw Michael. I'm quite pleased for him, honestly, because he deserved that. And it's a kind of things that when you cannot fight, I prefer to be beaten by a driver that I respect. I driver deserve, and with all the team around. And also I prefer to be beaten not being myself in activity.
How do you rate him as a driver? I don't mean in numerical terms, that's impossible.
No, I rate him in a very... I would never say this one was the best, or obviously you can only compare different generations with different cars, and he's for sure the best of his generation. Has been helped a lot by people like Luca Montezemolo, by Jean Todt, by Ross Brown, by Rayburn, all this group of people around. But what he has done is very impressive.
If he came to you and said, I have all the numbers I want, I would like to help you, John.
To drive or to... Yeah. You know, the good thing with Michael now, he could drive very well, but he could even be a sponsor. He has won so much money. So if he would do both, it would be fantastic.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Tony fancies him as a sponsor. Therein lies the problem. Alain's a bit short of francs, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very sensitive to that, and the French press have been digging very, very deep. But it seems he's got a massive engine bill from Ferrari. They said he's running on a budget as low as 25 million. That's why he said in there, you know, you won't have helmets being thrown away with expensive radio kits, and every penny counts there. And there's a spectre of Pedro Diniz taking over the whole team, which Diniz would like to do.
Thanks, Tony. We're talking to you from the vast natural bowl that is the Hungaroring outside Budapest Grand Prix, the biggest tourist attraction of the year. Around 125,000 people here, a huge German contingent, primed for the possibility of another Michael Schumacher world title. Let's drive the circuit, Martin Brundle, with a man who's won twice round here.
Join Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. 2.5 miles of action coming your way, thick and fast into the pit straight. You will not see Villeneuve change up or down once during this lap. Fully automatic gearbox. Somebody's hidden turn one. There it is now. Follow the white line. It leads you nicely to the apex and hug the inside. A short squirt down to 2, but up to 125 miles an hour already. Down to just 55 through this tight apex. Hang to the left. An easy flat turn 3. And heading up the hill once more now, up to 175 miles an hour for an equally blind turn 4. Take a little bit of curb on the inside, some good grip on the outside, and straight into 5. No breather here, 80 through the middle part, and hit the throttle quite late. It's bumpy on the exit, and up to 140 before braking heavily into the tight chicane. The curves look like small hills in a Formula 1 car, and squirt towards turn 8. Which leads immediately into turn 9, just breezing around 80 miles an hour through here and exploding towards turn 10 already, easily, full throttle. 11, a bit of a tricky corner, mind the back end. Villeneuve having to correct the car, and downhill gently now towards turn 12. Nasty, nasty curb on the outside, rides that nicely. Adjust the brake balance so as not to lock a wheel into 13. Still fighting the car. Villeneuve not at all happy with the balance at this time. Over to the left, a nasty bump into the final turn. Patient on the way in. You want to go so much harder, so much earlier, but you just can't find the grip. Now you can go into that pit straight one more time.
Jacques Villeneuve starting 10th in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's have a word about David Coulthard. Had to go to Ron Dennis on Friday and say, give us a new motor, didn't he?
Yeah, this curb that Martin was just talking about at 12 there, they'd actually built these new serrated edges which just cut through the bottom of the chassis, and really David Coulthard was in danger back, so they've taken off 2.5 centimetres, cut the tops off those serrated edges just there at the insistence of the FIA, because the teams hadn't been informed. Had to build up a whole brand new chassis, over £500,000 worth of new car for David Coulthard. Credit to McLaren, he didn't feel the difference the next morning.
Okay, well, all season long, David Coulthard has been Michael Schumacher's prime challenger, but whisper it gently, Coulthard is now being pursued by a Williams and by the second Ferrari.
David Coulthard's championship chances may have slipped away, but the battle for the runners-up spot is still very much alive. That's of little interest to the Scot, though.
There's no gain to me in being second. You either win the World Championship or you don't. And there's no financial incentive, there's no ego incentive. You know, I'm here to win, and if it's not possible, then it's about individual races rather than the championship position itself.
Yeah, but there's still pride at stake. I mean, you'd surely rather come second than fourth, wouldn't you?
I feel I'm pretty proud of my performance this year, and I don't believe that if I, in the next 5 races, end up not scoring as many points as Ralph and Rubens, that I can undo what I believe I've achieved so far this year. I've finished third, I don't know how many times in this World Championship, so I guess second would be a step up from that, but it's only a trophy in the cabinet. It doesn't give you WC after your name.
That honour is set to go to Michael Schumacher, and on Williams' current form there's every possibility that brother Ralph could make it a Schumacher 1-2.
Basically, if everything continues as it is, so that we stay relatively reliable and finish races, I think that's the biggest favour we have above the other driver, I guess. But then there are still 5 races to go, and McLaren is, as we know, at certain racetracks that were pretty strong last year, so there will be this year as well. So I have to wait and see, but we try, obviously. Yeah.
Rubens Barrichello shouldn't be discounted, though. He's got his sights firmly set on that second slot.
I think Ferrari wants to win the championship with Michael, and then after that, I think it's going to be something that they're going to be working for. So, but you know, to be honest, I was having my own race in Hockenheim. They let me pass Michael, and I was having my race. So at least, you know, I'm able to work for that. I think. You know, the biggest thing would be to work for first, but if I can work for second, I would be lying if second is not better than fourth or third, so I am thinking of that.
And Rubens could have one crucial advantage. If Michael sews up the championship, it could be payback time.
It remains there to be seen. You know, I'm not so sure what can happen later on in the season, but I hope he can win the championship as soon as possible, and then I'll be there to watch what's going to happen.
That'll suit Rubens just fine. Just have a look how close things are behind Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard, what, 6 ahead of Ralph, and just 7 ahead of Rubens Barrichello. He's got plenty to do for the rest of the season. This place, though, Tony, only used once a year, and there's a dirty side of the circuit that David Coulthard has to start from.
Dirty, bumpy. Most of the runners on the inside, including David on the front, will run along close to the Armco barrier, separating out from the pits to run over there and just try and get some grip down there. There he is, see, going over his place on the grid, trying to get some rubber down there for that vital start, so vital. And of course, no straights here, always turning the corners. Fitness is vital, and the heat's really going to tell on them this afternoon. None fitter than David Coulthard, other than Schumacher, of course.
Warm-up, quickest in Sunday morning warm-up, and how much relevance, how important is that?
It's very important because it's a transition between a qualifying car and a race car. McLaren are very good, particularly here as they were last year, in developing the race setup, particularly as David has a new chassis as well. He had small battery problems this morning which are affecting the gear change, so that gave him a few heart tremors, but everything's okay. So, you know, he has a small chance, doesn't he?
Absolutely right, and the McLaren team have worked exceptionally hard to get David Coulthard up there on the front row of the grid. There is David, never won here in Hungary, but he needs a much better start that he made here last year. Was very slowly away indeed. Well, it looked like the charismatic Colombian Juan Pablo Montoya was going to win last time out in Hockenheim. And then Williams had a major refueling problem. Not the first time we've seen that in the pits this season. High tension chaos and Montoya's race blown. James Allen joined the Williams pit crew early this morning.
Now, Sam, what exactly happened in Hockenheim, and what steps have you taken to make sure it never happens again?
When the operator connected the rig to Juan's car, the fuel flowed, but he had no indication of fuel going into the car, so he aborted the filling procedure and changed to Ralph's rig and put a lot more fuel in on top of it. Ultimately, it meant the car sat there for 18 seconds longer than what it should have done and ended up with a full tank of fuel. To make sure that it doesn't happen again, we've given the operator a lot more viewing of whether the rig is flowing or not via independent systems. We're not 100% sure that it's fixed it, but it should be a step in the right direction.
Now, pit stops are so vital. Getting the fuel into the car quickly is such a key part of Grand Prix racing now. Are these rigs generally a bit tricky to deal with?
They generally are. The concept has changed from last year to this year, and that it's gone from a pressure control device to a flow control device using electric motor and a laptop, and I think that is the main part of the rig which we're having problems with. We've had no fewer than 4 or 5 problems at Williams this year, and I know other teams have had problems, but generally they have been very troublesome in this season.
Now, you're one of the top race strategists in the pit lane. What's the secret here at Hungary? It's normally a 2-stop race, but what kind of indicators are we going to see today?
Normally 2 or 3 stop around here, but even so, people have done 1 stop in the past, but I can't see that happening today. It's quite a big difference. I would say a good mixture of different levels of 2-stop and maybe even some 3 stops, and it's going to depend on what sort of degradation you get. I'd say that on the Michelin Prime tyre we do have quite an advantage over the Bridgestone, looking at the sort of degradation I saw on those tyres on Friday, but you never know until the race. We'll have to just wait and see, I think.
Is there anything in the conditions, the heat, is that going to play a part?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think for us the hotter it gets the better.
The hotter the better. 31 degrees air temperature, 40 and rising down there on the track. Let's go to the front of the grid and join Martin Brundle.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the grid for this, the 16th Hungarian Grand Prix. Can Michael Schumacher take the World Championship? Well, this is his view down to the first corner. Hopefully he will want to be there first, and Coulthard will desperately, from alongside him on the grid, be trying to stop him. Of course, this very attractive young lady will not be standing in the way, and nor will all of these people. Look, the Ferrari has just arrived onto the grid from a huge cheer from this massive crowd, very much partisan towards the Ferrari team. I don't think you can see them behind me there. Great support today, but of course we don't know for sure that Michael can take that championship. 3 points will leave Michael in a strong chance. Coulthard will have to win all the remaining Grand Prix of the year, with Michael scoring nothing whatsoever. But another little fact, if Michael leads 41 laps or more today, he will also become the highest ever driver for leading a Grand Prix in distance and in number of laps. I don't know if we can have a little poke in here and get to anybody. The car's quite late on the grid, so let's just see if we can get you in the thick of the action and just see how much attention is going on around that car. They've been working on it all through the weekend, all morning, and still there just seems to be so much to do. And apparently Michael's been through the gravel trap in this car on the way round to the grid, and that's unusual for a formation lap, isn't it? And that's probably why Ross Brawn is having a jolly good look underneath the car, and we're not going to get a word out of that lot. They've got a problem here, so there's no point in hanging around. Let's Nicky. Right, he's not up for a word either, and who we got down here it's Boris Becker talking to Michael Schumacher at this end of the grid, and Bernie Ecclestone and co. And again, I think we're going to struggle to get in here today, but there's Michael trying to get ready to win his 4th World Championship, having a good old chit chat with Boris. I don't know if we can. Boris, any chance of a word for British TV? I think that's a 9, isn't it? I'll see if I can. Any chance of a word with Boris for British TV? Thanks, Bernie. Hi, what did Michael have to say to you, Boris? Thanks for talking to us.
Actually, we talked about a soccer match we organized this summer. He organized, and I couldn't make it. And he said next time I have to play again.
Don't you find that amazing that his mind is there when he should?
I don't know how he does it. He is so calm under all this noise, and he's the most calm person around here.
It must be like sort of heading for your 4th Wimbledon title or something, as he's standing on the grid today for his 4th World Championship.
Well, when I was playing Wimbledon final, I wasn't nearly as calm as he's right now. I don't know how he does it.
It's amazing, isn't it? And do you think he's going to do it?
I think he's in very good shape, yeah.
Okay, thanks for talking to us, really appreciate it. I don't know how long I've got left because I can only barely... I've got a minute and a half left apparently. So what about Coulthard? Who'd want to be in his shoes today? He, I know, wants to focus and concentrate on getting his start right. He's standing over there quietly and patiently waiting, but I know that he just wants to keep his head totally into getting off the line, the dirty side of the grid. He's got his rival for the championship ahead of him, alongside him as it were, slightly to the left, but just behind him it's like a championship table. Rubens Barrichello 7 points behind, fourth in the World Championship. We know he's got a fast car underneath him. Can McLaren today find the kind of performance they found last year to just go and dominate this race, surprising everybody? And here's Ralph, third place man in the championship, lines up absolutely behind David Coulthard. He's just 6 points behind. So this is Coulthard's dilemma. He's got to beat Michael Schumacher today. He's got to fend off these two drivers behind him. And then we're down to Jarno Trulli here in fifth place on the grid. He's going to want a strong showing today. Got Jean Alesi in the team trying to give him a big prod. We've had Eddie Jordan telling you how important it is to score some World Championship points. And finally then down to sixth place. Surely Häkkinen can't pull this one out of the bag for his third consecutive win here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's see if we can just have a quick word with Ron Dennis. I'm sorry to butt in, I've got a few seconds left. Can your cars win this race today, Ron?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The circumstances, that's another thing, but we can win.
Okay, thank you, and back to you in the studio.
Well done, Martin. Thank you very much indeed. A glance of Rubens Barrichello there, Boris Becker and Michael Schumacher chatting football. Michael Schumacher off the circuit. A little word of caution though, last year in Hungary, Michael Schumacher and the Ferrari were also in a class of their own until the race when Häkkinen and McLaren found the sweet spot. David Coulthard has never won here. He needs a flyer. Don't forget, a Michael Schumacher victory equals the championship. The constructors' title could go to Ferrari as well. It's all up for grabs in Hungary.